Hi, boys and girls. Happy Monday. Today for reading, you're going to need that Post-it note, that sticky mark bookmark, and either some Post-its or a notebook to use to write our think marks. Now, today is Monday, and it is a new week. So let's talk about our reading calendar. Last week, we made goals. You'll remember my goal was to read 25 books. Now, I read on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I even read a couple books on Saturday. Last week, I was able to read 28 books. I'm going to use that information to help me make my new weekly goal. Now, yesterday, I read 3 books. So I'm thinking that this week, if I work really hard, I can read 30 books. Now, maybe last week, you passed your goal by a lot. Let's make your goal a bigger number this week. Maybe last week you didn't quite get to your goal. Let's take our goal down a little bit and see if we can reach it this week. We can adjust our goals to make sure we can be successful, but we have to make sure we're still trying our hardest. We don't want to make our goal 2 books for the whole week. We want to really be challenging ourselves to become better readers. So pause the video here and let's make your weekly goal. When you're all ready, you can come back and we'll get started with our think mark work today. Okay, I'm sure you've made some really great goals for the week. Now today I want to talk to you about a new think mark on your bookmark. Today we're going to talk about the Q. That Q is a symbol for questions. As we read, we ask ourselves questions. We can do this work in fiction books and in nonfiction books like you see on the screen. If I'm reading a book about Fly Guy, I might have questions about what he's doing or why he's doing something. I might have questions about why the character is feeling angry. You can do this in fiction books and in nonfiction books. Today I'm going to show you how I do it in a nonfiction book. So today as we read, we're going to be asking questions. And we can ask ourselves questions as we read, before we read, and after we're done reading, we might still have more questions. Before I even read this book, I have a question. I know a little bit about hibernation, but I'm wondering what type of animals hibernate. I see on the cover, it looks like that might be a little squirrel or maybe a mole, but I'm wondering what other types of animals hibernate. So before I even get started reading, I've got my first question and I put my sticky note right on my book. So we're going to hop right in to this book from Epic. This book is called Hibernation. Keep my first question in mind and let's see if we can figure it out and have an answer when we come back when we're all finished reading. Hibernation. Snow covers the ground. It is winter. Where are the animals? Many animals are hibernating. Hibernation is like a deep sleep. I'm noticing those bats there. I have another question. I know that hibernation is a deep, deep sleep and they sleep for days and days, but I'm wondering, do animals have to wake up and eat? Do animals have to eat food while they're hibernating? I'm going to write that on a Post-it note for this page. Okay. Do animals need to eat while they're hibernating? Let's see if we can get that answer during the rest of the book. Hibernation is part of a cycle. Animals hibernate to survive the winter. They hibernate because it is cold. They can't find food. Oh, there's my answer. There's no food for those animals, so that's part of the reason they hibernate. They're not waking up. They're sleeping that whole time. Snow hides plants and other food. The bear sleeps in its den in the winter. In the spring, the bear will wake up and come out. Some snakes hibernate. Most ground squirrels hibernate. Some bats hibernate. Hedgehogs hibernate. Many animals hibernate every winter. This cycle happens every year. Learn more about hibernation. Bears do not hibernate the same way as other animals do. Hibernating is different from sleeping. When animals hibernate, their heartbeat slows down. Their body cools. Hibernating animals are hard to wake up, but bears do not sleep as deeply as the other hibernating animals. Their bodies do not cool down very much. They wake up often to eat. Then they go back to sleep. So that's different from the other animals, and that's good to know because of my question I asked. Fun facts. Some animals that hibernate sleep all winter long without waking up. Other animals that hibernate wake up during the winter to eat and then go back to sleep. Animals that hibernate spend each fall eating and gathering lots of food to last them through the long winter. The only bird that hibernates is the common porwell. Here are some other animals that hibernate: chipmunks, hamsters, skunks, bats, prairie dogs, frogs, lizards, snakes, turtles, and some insects like bees and ladybugs. Where do animals hibernate? Some animals hibernate underground in a burrow. Others find shelter in trees. Bears hibernate in a cave or den. My glossary and my index. So now we've answered my first question. What types of animals hibernate? I stopped and I asked that before I even started reading. And I was able to learn that animals like chipmunks and bears, prairie dogs, and even ladybugs hibernate. So that one was answered. Now, when we came to this page, I had put on another Post-it note. Do animals eat during hibernation? And as we kept reading, we were able to get an answer to that question. Some animals wake up and eat, but other animals sleep the whole time. I had to read through the whole book until I got my whole answer there. And then at the very end, I'm still wondering, do animals grow when they are hibernating? Sometimes when you finish a book, especially a nonfiction book, you might still have questions when you're done reading. Now, I know that hibernating means sleeping or resting through the winter, but I'm still wondering, do those animals keep growing when they're hibernating? And to answer that question, I would have to read another book about hibernation, or I could ask a grown-up to help me do some research to figure that out. Okay? Today, your job is going to be to use your question think mark and ask yourself some questions before and during your reading. Maybe even after your reading, you'll still have questions. I want you to use your Post-its or a piece of paper to write down your questions that you have while you're reading today. Okay? And don't forget to keep your tally marks on your calendar.